What's going on, everybody? It's the Hook Cam back again with another film breakdown, kind of not really going over some film today, just some options for the Kansas City Chiefs and what I would do if I was in the position of trying to fix this offensive line. Obviously, we have some turnover. Like I saw earlier today, I'm sure a lot of you did as well, Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz both being released by the Kansas City Chiefs, and I was kind of in a little bit of like, what the hell's going on here? Texted one of my really good friends who's a diehard Chiefs fan, and I was just kind of asking him, like, what's going on? Why are they doing this? And he's like, honestly, both guys are getting up there. Big cap hit. We all know the Chiefs signed a couple of fat deals last year. So I kind of started to think about what the Chiefs could do in order to sort of fix this problem. Where can we go for the Kansas City Chiefs to make this offensive line younger, but still make them just as mean and just as good in pass protection? Now, before I get into all of that, if you could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to my channel, The Hook Cam, as well as to Jackson Kruger Sports, that would mean the world to both of us. Also, check out my music guy. I'll be throwing him down in the description below if you enjoy the music in the background. My boy Max Keys does custom beats, the whole nine, anything you guys need, he will be there for. So diving into this, don't pay any attention to the film in the background, by the way. I just wanted to have some stuff to go over, so you're going to see the loading circles, all that. I just saw this info this morning, wanted to get a video out here pretty quick. So obviously, we have both tackles gone, okay? The way that I would go about this, and it was clear they had to do this because of their cap space, both getting older, like I said in the beginning of this video, but what they're looking for with their tackles, obviously pass protection, in my opinion, is the first thing that the Kansas City Chiefs are looking for in replacement tackles. Now, you have to understand kind of where they're coming from, right? Your center's still there, Ryder. You're going to get Duvernay Tardif back, I believe is how you say his name. He's coming back after his, really, really cool what he did last year, just kind of staying and being a doctor. Can you imagine that, being an offensive lineman? Oh, I guess my night job is a doctor. Dude's got to be an absolute really cool human being to be around. So, looking to free agency, I think, is going to be really difficult to do. And I think that if you look to free agency to replace this offensive line, you're going to be in trouble, and you're going to end up putting yourself right back in the place you were when you had these two guys on the payroll. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think it's impossible. I do think that there are some guys that you can look to replace, or that you can look to fill in the free agency market. I just think that you have to look guard in the free agency market. You can't look tackle. It's going to be too high of a price. It's going to be way too high of a price tag in order to bring those guys in. So a couple of guys stood out to me who are guards and free agents this year. They're not high profile guys, but they are guys who I think who can help. First and foremost, Gabe Jackson out of Vegas. He might be a high payroll guy. I don't know what he's looking for. He's had a couple of really, really good seasons out in Vegas. He was locking down Aaron Donald, I think, when they were doing one-on-ones in like a training camp. Obviously, that doesn't mean that's what his standard of play is all the time, but definitely an option for Kansas City. The second guy, Nick Martin, not a bad center out of Houston. You can probably bump him over to guard and wouldn't really have any problems. Richie Incognito is another guy that I could see them doing. He's obviously just a mauler, but as well getting up there in age. The reason why I think it makes sense to sign more of a veteran guard in free agency is because you're probably going to have some young bucks out there at tackle when the season starts rolling around. With that being said, I do think that the Kansas City Chiefs should bring back Kelechi Osemele. 100% you should bring him back. He had a tough injury this year. That dude played lights out for you for like 5, 6, 7 weeks in the NFL. It's really hard to find that in a replacement guard. I 100% believe they should bring him back. He's an absolute stud. Run blocks like an animal. He's an absolute savage. Just all over the place. His game is very refined. He's a veteran in the NFL. He run blocks very well. He's great on your combos. He's veteran leadership on the offensive line. Phenomenal in pass protection. Everything that he needed to do early on in the season, he did. And I actually even did a video about how well that dude played when I watched it. He's an absolute stud. I think that you have to bring him back, even though there is the injury concern. Now, you can bring Kelechi Osemele back, but still prepare for the future, 100%. The way that I look at it, we talked about free agency. This draft, in my opinion, is insanely deep with offensive linemen. Insanely deep. And so when you're looking at the tackle position to go in and fill in the draft, there are a couple of options, right? Sewell's going to be gone from Oregon. He's going to be a top 10 guy. Rashawn Slater is going to fly up draft boards. He's going to be a top 15, top 20 guy. I don't see the Chiefs being able to snag either of those guys. However, there is a kid out in Texas who I think could fit perfectly for the Kansas City Chiefs. His name is Samuel Cosme. I'll try and throw a couple of clips in of him after I'm done editing this thing, but that dude is exactly exactly what you would want for the Kansas City Chiefs. The first thing that sticks out to me is his size. Eric Fisher has locked down the left side of the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line for the last however many years, and he's 6'7". I look at Samuel Cosmi, also 6'7". That having that same height, there is some appeal factor to it. Do I think it's everything that a coach looks at? No, not at all. But I do think that Samuel Cosmi's pass pro is some of the better in the draft this year, and I think that he's definitely a guy that you can work with. And I mean, you can't sit here and tell me that pass pro isn't the first thing that you're looking for as a scout for the Kansas City Chiefs and as the GM for the Kansas City Chiefs. Veach, right? You have to be looking to protect Patrick Mahomes. We saw the deficiencies in the Super Bowl. That has to be the number one priority. I think Samuel Cosmi has shown that throughout his college career, and I definitely think he's a guy that the Kansas City Chiefs should look at. Now, moving on from him, though, there's still a ton of dudes in this draft who are going to be drafted later who could fill in. We got Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. He's had an outstanding year, and another guy the Chiefs could look at to go and fill in and be hopefully a legitimate starter for them. Now, it's going to be tough for these kids because they're going to walk into a role where they're almost expected to start, but that's why you bring in veteran leadership. That's why you keep a guy like Kelechi Osemele on the offensive line, because we all know how good he has been for them. Now, when you look at guards in terms of rookies who are prospects this year in the draft, there's some serious talent here, and this is where I think the Chiefs could really put a couple of picks together that will put them in a very serious advantage for the years to come. Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma is just an absolute stud. I mean, this dude has experience playing obviously the highest level of college football you can. He's been a 3-year starter for the Oklahoma Sooners. Just a gritty center that you want to see. He's phenomenal in his positioning. He's great in pass protection. Doesn't get over his shoulders. Like he does a really good job. Checks all the boxes that you want to see for an interior offensive lineman. We also have Landon Dickerson out of Alabama. He played center for them as well. And guys, don't get caught up on center, guard, right? Any interior guy can really flip around and play anywhere. Honestly, any 5 dudes on an NFL line of scrimmage, you want to be able to play any position on the offensive line. They will learn all of this when they get into camp if they haven't already, playing at the level that they do. The other dude who I want to bring up is Aaron Banks from Notre Dame. He's just a massive human being, 6'5", 338. He's another dude who I think the Chiefs could draft to be a stud on that interior offensive line. So when we look at this again, when we kind of take a step back, what are the options that the Chiefs have to fix this problem on the offensive front? I think number one, first and foremost, you bring back Kelechi Osemele, because you know you're going to have to go young and you need that veteran leadership on the offensive line. Secondly, in the draft, I think that you look for Samuel Cosmi out of Texas. If he's there, he fits what you want to do. He's phenomenal in pass protection. His running game stuff needs some work. Nothing you can't fix, though. And then interior wise, really, you're only looking at replacing one spot, right? If you're bringing back Osemele, now you only need to pick up, one guard to fill that other place, right? So you got Creed Humphrey and Landon Dickerson, who I think are the first 2 guys that I would look to do that, as well as Aaron Banks out of Notre Dame, and then again, in free agency, I don't think they can go tackle. I think that's just going to be too high of a price tag, but I would look to go guard and try and get another veteran guy. That way you build depth, right? You don't just have, 2, obviously you need to roll in the NFL with, 6 or 7 at least quality starters to be able to field a good season. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for you today. Let me know what you think the Chiefs should do down in the comments below. Been a little bit since I dropped the Chiefs video. Feels good to be back, folks. Feels good to be back. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to my channel, The Hook Cam, as well as to Jackson Kruger Sports. That would mean the world to both of us. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Have a safe day. Make sure we're staying safe, washing those hands, and I'll see you next time.